What is going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk tonight. Hope you're having a great time. I've neglected the tech faithful a little bit, so we're going to talk tech, but we're also going to talk about Blue Chew Bill because it's freaking hilarious. I mean, I want you to think if you were in charge of script writing, like let's say such a thing existed for college football. You know, they say, hey, I want the most ridiculous hilarious script you could come up with. I'd be willing to bet you 10 grand you couldn't come up with Blue Chew Bill Belichick. What is happening? And I was talking with Rock and Rant today, and I was like, the crazy thing is, like the craziest, most outrageous thing that's going to happen between Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick, and UNC during the season, I bet we couldn't even imagine it now. In fact, type in the chat, not what you wish would happen, but the craziest thing that you think actually might happen or will happen in the season with Jordan Hudson. Does she run on the field after a timeout to talk to Bill or something, or to a player? I mean, who knows? Who knows? Let's go through the chat here. T-Branch in the house says, let's go. Rambling on with Zach Jones says, yo. 10% of traveling fools in that comment. Michael Butler says, go Jackets, the hell with Georgia. Michael, that reminds me, your name does. I sat down today, and I would like to say that me and my daughter watched the first Space Jam with Michael Jordan, but I made her watch it with me. She didn't want to, but she ended up liking it, and I forgot how fantastic the original Space Jam is. It's everything it needed to be. You know, Michael Jordan isn't an actor, and they got the absolute most out of him by not having him say much. You don't need him to say much. He's the greatest basketball player of all time. I didn't see the second Space Jam with LeBron James, and I'm not some LeBron James hater, but I mean, how many sequels to movies like that are worth a darn? Anyways, Michael Butler says, go Jackets, the hell with Georgia. Oh, also, I watched the Never-Ending Story. I have to say no homo before I do this, but Pigskin Pete, who's in the chat, was telling me to watch Never-Ending Story. And so after College Football Weekly, basically we started watching it at the same time, and then we were texting each other throughout the movie. And I don't even know that that's a movie you can rate. I was perpetually confused. You know, you go from rock person with like troll to real life getting bullied, and I guess his mom has died, although that's never addressed directly, to dragon dog that I guess can fly from fantasy into real life. But like I told Pigskin Pete, my takeaway is that means tech is going all the way this year. T. Brandt says, LOL, BC Bill. That's right. Blue Chew Bill, Bryce Man, member of the channel. Appreciate it. Power Tech, member of the channel, says, go Jackets. Zach Jones says, buy or sell Georgia Tech ACC title. Buy. Now, I don't know if you mean they're going to win it or an appearance. I guess there's not a ton of difference. But, yeah, I mean, you could sell me on that. Yo, boys, Josh Pittman. I love Josh Pittman. Saw him at the spring game. Got some Waffle House. It was great. It was fantastic. In fact, that's something else we need to address tonight. I don't know how long this show is going to go tonight, but we got a lot to talk about. Anthony Perez says, Wreck! I think that's what an exclamation point means. Kevin Hawthorne says, good evening from Lakeland, Florida. Is that the one where Scientology is? Is it Lakeland? I think it is. Where they own like 99% of the real estate. I'm probably wrong on that. Appreciate the $10 from T-Brand. So he has a question tonight. Of the top 10 teams as of the most recent AP ranking, can you put a link to the most recent ranking for me? And I'll answer. Name 3 teams that will not win a national championship in the next 10 years. So of the current top 10, which team will not win one in the next decade? Sid Iris says Oregon, Clemson, Notre Dame. That seems like a troll comment. Those seems like three teams that would definitely be in the running. Clemson isn't top 10. Picks compete. Yeah, the intro is amazing. If you're a Sopranos fan, I mean, that song's a jam. And I'm a Notre Dame fan. Man, I mean, dude, you were a rat's pube hair away this year. What are you talking about? Bill is the gift that keeps on giving. Oh yeah, I'm giving the Hawaiian vibes. Yeah, for sure. Nerdstop says had a shit day at work, and it was my mistake that caused it. I cannot even blame anyone else. I hope y'all are doing well though. Well, here's the important thing, Nerdstop. I'm talking directly to you now. Mistakes happen. All right, mistakes happen. It's going to be okay. It's going to be all right, buddy. Everyone still loves you. And if they don't, just look at like CEOs of companies. They make 20, $30 billion mistakes all the time. No one cares, right? It's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Rick has a 1998 porn star vibe. I had that when I was born in the 90s, though. So, $5 super chat. Appreciate it from Zach Jones says, build an all ACC offense by team. Georgia Tech's quarterback room by, okay, quarterback group. So you're saying, okay, I'm going to build an all-time team by position group of teams. So obviously just thinking about it, and I'll answer it in more detail. You're saying I would pick, like, obviously Clemson's quarterback room would have to go for that group. Make sure I understand what you're saying. Never Ending Story was my jam when I was 6. Yep, wise to call no homo in that scenario. All right, let's look at this AP ranking here. Let's bring this up. Go to the site. Yeah, I want to go to it. All right, let me switch screens here. And then let me get my face on here. So we've got Ohio State. They can be thrown out on the face of it, right? They're the most likely of the top 10 maybe to win the most national titles just based on what they got going on at the second. Notre Dame, I think you can throw them out. Like, I know that they're trying to get this monkey off their back of, postseason failure, but that they had Brian Kelly leave. And then this guy who had never been a head coach before takes them deep into the playoffs. Like, Notre Dame's talented. Notre Dame has a ton of money. Would I give it over 50% for Notre Dame to win a national title in the next 10 years? I'd probably give it above 50%, to be honest with you. Oregon, throw them out. Texas, I think, is the team, especially if it's true. I don't know if you guys saw. I guess they're like, screw it. We've got oil money, $30 to $40 million NIL, roster now. They might be the second most likely, honestly, behind Ohio State. I'd have to think about it. Penn State's an interesting one. And I'm going to sound like a hypocrite because what I said about Notre Dame, I think Penn State could be on that list. We'll have to come back to it. Georgia, obviously, they're on the list. Georgia's absolute dog shit, and they always will be. Arizona State's got to be on there. Boise State's a top 10 team. This is final rankings, though. This is at the end of last year, but we'll go through it. Tennessee and Indiana. I think if I'm just not trolling, you'd just say Arizona State, Boise State, and Indiana, right? That would be the easy three. Hold on a second. Why is all this stuff? Get off of my screen. All right. Appreciate the $2. Zach Jones says, I meant current, but you can do all time too. Oh, we could do current. Yeah, we could do current. We'll do that. Let me look back here. The people that are candidates for this, maybe that's a hot take. Penn State, very talented. They haven't been able to get the offense going, though. I think Tennessee. I think Tennessee on there. That might make Tennessee fans mad. I'm not sold on Josh Heupel's offense. I think, and I'm not even going with the gimmicky side of it. I guess I am. I almost feel like it's some ways an akin to the triple offense in that once teams get used to what you're doing, they've kind of figured you out. But they did go 10-3 last year. Yeah, I'd say that's the only ones. I think Ohio State, Notre Dame, Oregon, Texas. We'll skip over 6, and yeah, I think they're all solidly in the running. All right, build an all-time ATTL. Okay, with current roster, let me think of the ACC right now. As far as quarterback room, I would have to take Tech's quarterback room. You'd probably have to be a Tech fan to realize that. But the main reason for that is not Haynes King as to why I would pick Tech right now. It's Aaron Philo. And that's not taking anything away from Haynes King. That's saying I think Aaron Philo, when he gets to play, is going to be, I mean, hell, he already has gotten to play. It's going to be really, really good. Running back room, who's got a deep run? I mean, who's got a deep running back room in the ACC right now? See, you're going to expose my relative lack of knowledge. Yeah, Jamal Haynes is back. Of, every team's roster in the ACC. Miami's got to have a pretty good running back room. Let's take Miami's running back room. Who's got the best wide receiver core? I don't know, man. I'm going to be honest with you. Let me think about that. I don't know enough about each position group in the ACC to say. Appreciate the $5 from Coffee Killer. Says, evening, all. Sorry I'm late tonight. How goes it, Rec? Goes good. It's going good. All right. Let me bring this up. So here's what I plan to do. All right. First, we got some portal additions that I have not talked about. And this portal window has been interesting for Tech. I mean, I'm not saying that it's catching the world on fire or anything, but Tech is getting players that you don't usually see them get out of the portal. They're making pushes. You don't usually see them out of the portal. There's one obvious one that we're going to have to talk about in the Uno reverse card. Appreciate the $5 from Nerdstop. Says, you hear Dansby Swanson on a podcast said he almost committed to Tech but wasn't made to feel like he was wanted by the staff. Danny Hall. Yeah, Danny Hall's gone after this season. So that is disappointing because, I mean, obviously Dansby Swanson, fantastic player. All right. So above A.J. Hoffler are guys that we haven't talked about that are in the second window. Savion Riley from Colorado. Now, I believe, is he from Marietta? He's from Ackworth. Tall guy, 6'2". Yeah, tall and big, 6'2", 200 pounds. Now, he's been around the block a few times. So he committed to Duke, decommitted, committed to Vandy, enrolled, transferred to Miami, then transferred to Colorado, then transferred to Tech. So again, this isn't me dogging the kid or anything like that. He could very well be talented and be one of the more productive safeties on our roster. I don't know. But whenever I see a kid transferring every other year, and it's not due to just them taking a bag of money necessarily, I mean, I have some questions around that. But we are building depth in the defensive back room. I don't know much about Malachi Carney. He comes in from the University of South Alabama. So he's from Pleasant Grove, Alabama. We do need some depth pieces on the offensive line. The interesting bit here is, if you didn't know, Zach Pyron, he transfers to Minnesota. After the spring, he transfers to South Alabama, where we're getting this kid from. So, all right, this will just be his first transfer. But like I said, we do need some depth on the offensive line. Jaron Gilmore, another safety. And obviously with Blake Gideon coming in, he's going to get some guys in, cornerback, safeties, what have you. I've got to ignore the chat. Again, another kid I don't know much about. He comes in from Georgia State. He's from Ocala, Florida. Went to Tennessee Tech, Georgia State, and then Tech. So that's something that I like to see a little better. A guy, he's transferring, but he's moving up level of play. See what we get out of him this year. Now, John Mitchell and Akilo Stone, these are the two big ones. So John Mitchell was the top-rated cornerback in the portal when we got him. Comes from Penn State, guy that played. It's not like he was just on the bench. 5'11", 183 from Jacksonville, Florida. He was a 4-star 94 as a prospect, 3-star 87. And another kid that, some of these heights are honestly like wrestling heights, though, where like Hulk Hogan's build at 6'8", he's probably closer to 6'5" or something. But big get to get the top rated guy. And then obviously Akilo Stone. So if you don't know, Akilo Stone was a guy no one knew anything about until the spring game. What was it, 2 years ago for Tech? Had a decent spring game. Then out of nowhere transfers to Ole Miss. All right, Lane Kiffin has been all up in our business for a while, right? I think Jared Ivey went over there too. And this is the thing Tech's got to get out of the rigmarole with is, and as a fan, as a Tech fan, before you go and type something on Twitter the minute someone transfers out, these guys generally, I don't know what it is, defensive linemen, the position that we have the most need at, transfer out of here and then are fantastic. Jared Ivey was really good there. We'll talk about Akilo Stone in a second. And Kyle Kennard, best defensive end in the SEC. Now, I think he went in the 5th or 6th round in the draft. But the minute someone transfers out, what do you see on like our message boards on Twitter? Didn't need him. No good. We're going to be just fine without him. We could have used Kyle Kennard, Jared Ivey, and Akilo Stone all these years, right? Now, Akilo Stone comes back, and so he did start the year after he left Tech. It looks like he was a rotation piece, but did play a good bit, but he wasn't on the starting front. I imagine that's part of why he's coming back, but also we threw some money at him. John Mitchell and Akilo Stone, we went and threw money at to get. I mean, he's listed as a 4-star in the portal. So that's huge. Getting Akilo Stone back is huge for Georgia Tech. I would have liked to see us maybe get one more defensive line piece. Doesn't happen. So, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this today. It came out 3 hours ago. I just saw it going through, like Google will recommend different articles to you. Now, Jackson Caudell, he's been on the show before. He contributes to Sports Illustrated. Titled, CBS Sports names Jeff Collins one of the worst hires in the past 15 seasons. Right, and boobs are good. Right? Boobs are good. Sky is blue. Water is wet. And Jeff Collins is one of the worst hires. I wouldn't have even titled that. I mean, he's getting it from another article, but I probably would have titled it worst hire ever. Just ever. Collins never won more than 3 games at Georgia Tech. Right. We're not telling you guys anything you don't know. The interesting thing here is, one, he doesn't mention me, and I take offense to that because no one has trashed this. You guys think that's fair to say? No one's trashed this guy as much as I have. I think I deserved a shout out in that article. But anyways, we'll give him a break. So I guess in the list he got it from, there's 5 other coaches that were worse hires in the last 15 years. This is surprising to me. Let's see who's on the list. Chris Ash of Rutgers, Nick Rolovich, Washington State. Scott Frost is fair. Scott Frost was awful at Nebraska. Nebraska now praying that Matt Rule can be, the answer. Kevin Sumlin in Arizona, that's fair. Mel Tucker. Mel Tucker is one that I think can rival Collins. He's way better, but when you have a lot of off-the-field stuff like he did, that ended up, if you didn't know, connecting to Dante Stoudemire, at Tech. So the same girl that accused Mel Tucker in her text messages also mentioned Dante Stoudemire, if you didn't know. Brian Harsin at Auburn, I don't know that that's entirely fair because Auburn wanted him fired before the ink on his contract dried. So I don't know that he had much of a say in that. Herm Edwards, fair. And I tend to agree with Lou there. Seems a lot like the Belichick hire. Jimmy Lake, Mike Riley, and then Jeff Collins. What do they say about Jeff Collins? Collins is the college football definition of all flash, no substance. He carved a solid reputation as a top-shelf defensive coordinator through stints at Mississippi State and Florida, followed by a decent, if unspectacular, 2 years as head coach at Temple. Now, that's the thing that makes Tech the dumbest college at the time for offering him the contract he did. He follows Matt Rule, who's putting people in the NFL at Temple. He goes 7-6 and 6-6 or something like this. And then we offer him 5 years, whatever we offered him, average like $3.5 million a year or something. There's not a single other team at that time that was dumb enough to give Jeff Collins that contract. Not a single one. Collins is the definition of all flash and no substance. Yeah, truer words never been spoken. Keep in mind the guy has people slapping each other in the balls with pool noodles at practice instead of actually doing contact. He carved a solid reputation as a top-shelf defense. Oh, we already read that. Apparently his 15 wins with the Owls, a program that had 20 wins under Matt Rule from, the same time period, were enough to sell Georgia Tech on a largely unproven. He was entirely unproven, in my opinion. However, he never won more than 3 games in a single season. Yeah. So Jeremy Pruitt is worse. Well, I mean, he's worse because of the recruiting violations that he had. But as far as a coach, Jeremy Pruitt is 20 times the coach Jeff Collins is. I mean, Jeremy Pruitt was one of the top defensive minds in the country at the time he went to Tennessee. So, I mean, bad for different reasons. Willie Taggart, I still think Jeff Collins is worse than Willie Taggart, 100%. Ryan Walters was pretty bad. But he did win more games than Jeff did in a single season. Les Miles at Kansas, again, that's kind of off the field stuff. Chad Morris at Arkansas. Okay. All right. I wanted to do this. So if you saw College Football Weekly, we had Tar Heel Huddle on. And I love Russ from Tar Heel Huddle. I do think in this video he says, like, Bill Belichick gives him a lot of hope. And that kind of makes me sad for him because I legitimately think this is, I'm not just saying that Bill Belichick will fail because a lot of people seem to think that. I legitimately think that. So I wanted to react to this video and see what the man had. I did read some of it. I did comment on it. But evidently, I look like a genius because do you guys remember before any of this with his girlfriend started spiraling, and it is starting to spiral now as far as perception, I said I think he's going to be one of the worst coaching hires in college football history. I said that before. Who's looking like they know what they're talking about all of a sudden? Oh, Jesus. Now, I will say, if you want to step up in the dating draft, you want to move from the 7th round like Bill was in to the 2nd or 1st, you're going to want to get yourself in shape. You're going to want to look good. And this is no lie, I'm losing weight right now. I've lost about 10 pounds, not eating, but I didn't want it to stop there. So that's why I'm growing my facial hair out, baby. And you guys tell me, do you want mustache, just porn mustache, or goatee? I don't know. But to make it look even better and to be more appealing for the ladies, I use beard oil and some aftershave cologne, right? It makes your beard look better. It makes it feel better. And by the way, these two were selected by a lady. King's Ransom Beard Oil Beach and Thinker. The lady liked that one, the aftershave cologne. So if you want to get those, you can go over here to johnclamont.com. Look at your little your King's Ransom here, and you can get yours today. That's what I use. So anyways, let's see what Russ has to say about
what surprises me is this. It surprises me that stinking Tar Heels are out here calling for the man to be stinking fired.
You don't. Just right off the bat, I'll say, I don't think that's the craziest thing ever. I do think it's early for them to be calling for the guy's head, but it is not the craziest thing ever. I didn't know until Lou said on College Football Weekly, which, is there anyone in here that didn't see College Football Weekly? If you didn't, check this out. That's how that went.
Of the season. So that's the way it should be, because
so the question was, and I spent a lot of time coming up with these questions, you know, basically, will the Big Ten have the most ranked teams at the end of the season next year? And I try and pick questions that kind of pit panelists together, but I could have never predicted it would have gone this well for me.
Because I do think, once again, for the third consecutive year, you're going to see a national champion come out of the Big Ten. I think.
Now, if you don't know Lou, right, and I've met Lou several times, friends with Lou, you can tell when the rage meter is rising. And right here, it's just building. It's like that character from Inside Out. He's chomping at the bit here, and I am thrilled.
You're going to see the Big Ten have a monster season. But the SEC, we know it comes down to preseason rankings. The SEC always gets propelled by having like 9 teams ranked in the preseason. And so then when they beat up on each other, they just get ranked higher, whoever wins out of that. So I don't know how you get past if we didn't take any polls until like October, then yes, I could jump on board. But knowing the SEC always gets the benefit of the doubt and gets the extra ranked teams, no, I don't think the Big Ten will have the most ranked teams.
This is Lou muting himself here, by the way, as to not interrupt. He was being respectful of the entire panel. But then I know, hey, well, we got to go right to Lou here, right? Obviously. And shout out to Mike too. You know, I haven't really been in a situation like this with this guy. I've met him over at College Football Mafia, and I think he handled it actually really well. He came back with facts.
I feel like Lou has a strong opinion here. Let's go ahead and go to Lou. Will they have the most ranked teams?
I had to mute myself to keep from interrupting. Playoff ranking doesn't come out in the preseason. Bud, the Big Ten is the best conference in the country for sure. They're going to have the most teams ranked in the top 5. They're not going to have the most teams ranked in the top 25 because they don't have the most top 25 teams.
Here we go.
Come on, man. Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State. You tell me who's finishing 4th. Illinois?
Okay. Illinois, Michigan, or Indiana. Yeah.
Okay, Illinois. And who's finishing 4th in the SEC?
I'm not sure, but I know that when we played in the postseason last year, the Big Ten wiped the SEC off the map. I think it was 5-1. Wasn't it?
What a great response, by the way. The man did come armed with facts. So just breaking this down a little, if I remember right, you got to try and shift the goalpost away from that.
You need to come back against Iowa to get that one win.
Okay, so who's finishing 5th in the?
There you go. Just move it down to 5th.
Big Ten.
Okay, like I said, I think
the team is going to be ranked out beyond Illinois. Who?
I mean, I'm agreeing.
Michigan State, Nebraska, Southern Cal. These are dog shit programs, man. They're not any good. They're terrible. Alabama's in the toilet, and they go 9-3. I mean,
now Law Tide needs to speak up there. If someone was shitting on Tech right there, I'd have to speak up.
Come on, man. The SEC will have more teams ranked in the top 25 than the Big Ten. And this whole thing about, well, it's only because of preseason rankings. What, the AP poll has SEC bias now? Did they get it from ESPN? Who'd they get? What about the coaches poll? Holy moly! Are you telling me that the Big Ten coaches have SEC bias? Turn the camera back off. What's the matter with you, son? The coach's goal is literally made by coaches.
So I want to pause it here just to note, really what I was laughing about was not the rage moment, but as he raged harder, his shorts got shorter. Like his shorts keep coming up just the way that he's standing. He has to keep like readjusting his shorts.
There's no way Big Ten coaches and fucking Brent Key and Georgia Tech are sitting around trying to prop up the SEC just because of some preseason ranking. That's not happening. The SEC is getting. Does the NFL have SEC bias? Holy shit! They just had the most players drafted for the 19th year in a row.
There goes the
Yes,
shorts.
the NFL has been hoodwinked. They've been bamboozled. They've been all by ESPN and this guy.
So yeah, if you didn't see that, College Football Weekly is great. But yeah, the dude just fired a fact off. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just because he was on with me, he brought up Brent Key. But you know what that made me think of? It made me think of that scene in A Few Good Men where Jessup is on the stand. Who's gonna do it? You, Lieutenant Weinstein, who he's never met or talked to before. It came out of nowhere. He gave Key the Weinstein.
Whoa, none! You don't whoa, none!
I want some. I want it
What's
all.
going on, Tar Heel Nation? It is your favorite North Carolinian, Russ the Tar Heel. And in this huddle, baby, we're going to change it up just a little bit, man, because I want to warn Tar Heel Nation, all of my stinking Tar Heel football fans, about what's transpiring with the Bill Belichick situation, dude.
I think someone else tried to warn Tar Heel Nation about what was to come a long time ago. Is Lou legitimately mad here? Is he playing it up? He's mad. He's mad. You know, I've been around Lou a few times, and like he'll do that. Maybe not to that degree. So, you know, some of it might be hammed up a little, but I mean, he legitimately feels that way and he's legitimately pissed. I've seen him go off camera.
I feel like it's incumbent upon me to use whatever kind of platform that I have to warn people, you know, and the whole point of the Tar Heel huddle, to be completely honest with you, was for me to be able to express my fandom, you know, to Tar Heel Nation, to the college football and college basketball world. And, you know, you can like it or lump it, to be completely honest with you. This is going to be a very polarizing video in the sense that I'm probably either going to gain some subscribers or I'm going to lose some subscribers. Hell, it might even stink and be both, man. And to be completely honest with you, I don't stink and give a rip, okay?
So I don't agree with probably anything that Russ says in this video, but I do respect that he's going to come out, you know, whether it, however it's received. Only one time in this channel's history have I ever come out and said something that I didn't believe in, and I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. I don't know how crazy the Tar Heel fan base is or isn't. I mean, when I was up there, they seem to be fairly reasonable, but you speak your truth, buddy. Don't worry about what other people have to say.
My love for the University of North Carolina football and basketball program far exceeds what I think about what Joe Schmo has to say, you know, on the internet.
Talking about me.
And you know what? To be fair, that may be exactly what you're thinking about me. But whatever, dude. So before we get into Bill Belichick, man, just to make sure you guys know who I am, my name is Russ the Tar Heel, okay? Class of 1986. And I know what it probably immediately went through your head right there was that, you know, that would make you like 60 years old, Russ. You look pretty good. Wrong. I was thinking born into the
Russ could use some beard oil too, I think. If I had to guess. Blue Chew Bill's hilarious. By the way, do you know how old Jordan Hudson's ex-boyfriend is? Anyone in the chat? How old is Jordan Hudson's ex-boyfriend? She's 65. So we know what she's doing, right? And the harm is that, no, not 16, 65. 65. She's got millions of dollars in her real estate portfolio after she's begun dating Bill Belichick. She's CEO of Bill Belichick Productions. You're not going to convince me that this is just off the field stuff. It's already not off the field stuff. God forbid, I heard Rock and Rant talking about this. CBS releases the full uncut interview because they cut out like dozens of times that she did that and just left in the one. Is she just into dating older men? Yes. For money. She's dating, let's just call it what it is. Jordan Hudson dates older men for money. Now, she's not the first to do that. She certainly won't be the last. But most of these women that date older men for money, they just kind of, they're not in the forefront of things, though.
This thing. I don't have a degree on the wall that says that I attended the University of North Carolina. I am the #1 Walmart fan. Now,
that's not fair. I hate when people try and gatekeep fandom with you had to go to the school. That's completely stupid.
Before you start, thumbing your nose at me and thinking that you're, better than me, you need to understand that I'm like 5 semester hours short of a bachelor's degree. And I just didn't finish because I don't need to finish based off of what I do.
That's what Bill tells Jordan. I didn't need to finish. I don't need to. You just do you, baby.
So,
Blue Chews.
That's neither here nor there. The point of this video is to warn Tar Heel Nation about what's transpiring with this whole Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson ordeal. And if you can hear in the background, somebody's doing their lawn out there, so I apologize for the noise back there. But I need you to think and give me 10 to 15 minutes of your life. I know that's
Yeah, I see everyone saying what he's talking about. I'll say this. I think he could have gone without any of that. Just get into defending Bill.
asking a lot.
You don't need to qualify yourself. Lord knows none of us are qualified to talk about any of this.
And I need you to allow me to express this concern to you. Now, I've been a Tar Heel football fan, dude, since I basically started playing football, okay? About 7 years old. I'm 38 right now, so it's been a little over 30 years. And I haven't had this much hope or excitement in a while.
Don't do it, man. And look, us Tech fans that are telling you not to buy into the hope with Bill, it's not coming out of a place of hate or anything, or it's not for me. We just went through that with the guy we talked about. We had hope with Jeff Collins, and we didn't have any of the red flags that you do. In fact, North Carolina was stupid enough to hire him. They hired him. And I tried to tell them then, at what point will North Carolina people start listening to WreckTalk? Can we just close the book on that now? I was right about Jeff Collins at North Carolina. Some other people said that he was going to work out. Like same initials as Burger King, right? If you know, you know.
And I can only point to a couple of times, especially in my adult life, where I've had the excitement that I've had about North Carolina football, man. And one of those is honestly when Mac Brown returned back in 2019. Obviously, it was announced in 2018. We had gone through just a horrendous downfall under Larry Fedora towards those later stages, of his coaching, career.
No, not Brent Key. What are you talking about?
A head coaching career, if you will. And, it seemed like all hope was lost. And then Mac Brown, came back on, and a lot of people were kind of iffy about it because of his age, et cetera, et cetera. And, I had hopes that he could finish the job that he had basically, left in 95, 96, 97 time frame, and he left for whatever reason. There's differing opinions of why he's thinking left the first time. Now, Mac ran into some problems, and stick with me here, okay? I need you to have the...
Well, what they did with Mac Brown is like what Forrest Gump did with Jenny. He had Jenny in her prime, and then she went out. What did she do? Sleep with all of the Leonard Skinner band. He got her out of there. You know, her best years were not with him. And then once she's broken, she comes back to Forrest. North Carolina is like Forrest Gump without the athletic talent. That's what I'm saying. That's what they did with Mack Brown. Like, oh, you went to Texas, you know, washed up now. Yeah, you can come back here. And Mack Brown did a decent job as far as recruiting. Like, recruiting is not their problem. They had, like 8 years of first round quarterback talent. It didn't matter. Like, they still never got over that hump. Still been 1980 since they won an ACC title. If Mack Brown couldn't do it, to me, it's like, why do you think Bill Belichick's done it? Because he won in the NFL? How many coaches have gone in between and had success? One, maybe, in Harbaugh? One of all coaches in history? Come on.
The attention span of more than a goldfish for a second, okay? Mack ran into problems. The entire college landscape changed. And, he just couldn't change enough with it. The things that made him great.
I want you to think about that. He couldn't change enough with it. And you think Bill is going to be the guy that changes it? The only changes Bill's willing to make pertain to his wiener. He's not changing who he is or how he approaches the game of college football. He doesn't even have an approach to college football. What? Because his dad was an assistant coach at Navy before we landed on the moon? That's not me trolling. That's a fact. His last experience in college was literally before we landed on the moon. Pete Carroll, he didn't come back to college, though. There are definitely examples of coaches that have gone from college to the pros. They're not many and been successful. There's only one I can think of that was a successful head coach in the NFL that came to college and was a successful head coach. Mack was 90. Bill Belichick is 100. Mack Brown is nowhere near the POS Jenny was. Just kidding. You don't have to say JK. Jenny was a piece of shit. 100%. Oh, now that I'm sick and you're rich, I'll come back to you. Come on. It's a ridiculous thing.
Great as a recruiter, especially started to kind of go out the window, especially with the financial situation that Carolina was in and the supposed lack of finances that they were allowing him to utilize in order to attract talent. Years of finishing seasons terribly with generational talents like Sam Howell, Drake May, Omarion Hampton. Years of that finalized with a 6-7 campaign and being embarrassed in the bowl game. And I think everybody understood that it was time to stink and move on, but we didn't.
You're not going to mention you hired Jeff Collins and your boy Reck told you not to hire him, huh? They would have done far better than 6-7. Or maybe not far better. They would have done better than 6-7 without Jeff, for sure. UNC getting sports gambling proceeds is not a problem. I didn't know this until College Football Weekly either. There are people taking bets on whether Bill Belichick will ever coach a down of football at North Carolina. That's how bad this situation is. So just pretending like, oh, all of this, in Russ's words, and again, I love Russ, but all of this is a nothing burger is factually untrue. I guarantee you, Bill's been sat down by administration, by the AD or whoever at North Carolina and said, what are you doing? What are you doing? You don't want to say a word about UNC in any press conference, media, anything. If you didn't know that, by the way, that's true. He refuses to talk about the currents goings on at North Carolina, but he'll go promote his book and let his girlfriend walk over everyone's nuts. Why do you think that's going to be any different when you start kicking off football? She's going to be on the sideline. Guaranteed. She's not going to be in the stand like Jessica Simpson when she was dating Tony Romo and they just pan to her, or Taylor Swift during the Super Bowl. That would be the best scenario. She works for Bill too. He says they're both personal and professional relationship. So she's going to be on the sideline. If she can't handle herself during some CBS morning interview that no one would have ever watched had she not acted a fool, what makes you think she's going to play nice on the sidelines in Chapel Hill? You're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself, babies.
Didn't know which direction we were going to go in. And quite frankly, it's because a lot of people, myself included, were thinking about who was really out there that would come to Carolina and turn this thing around, right? This is the land of the perpetual sleeping giant. Everybody has always talked about what Carolina could be.
I can literally name like 3 or 4 coaches off Tech's coaching staff that would be better hires. Set aside Brent Key. Chris Winkie would be a better hire than Bill Belichick. Buster Faulkner would be Buster Faulkner, we're having trouble keeping anyways. Buster Faulkner at North Carolina could be nasty, right? I know he's going to have to cut his teeth in being a head coach, but the guy has recruiting ties in Georgia. The guy develops quarterbacks. He has relationships in the coaching circle, so he's probably going to be able to bring in a decent DC for you, something you haven't had since Moses was leading his people out of Egypt. You could name... It would be harder to make a long list of coaches that would be worse, in my opinion, than Bill Belichick. She's going to be like the blindside lady. The blindside lady would be a better coach. What was it, the Tuohys? Hire, what was the lady that's still smoking hot that played her in the movie? Why can't I remember her name? She was at Miss Confidentiality or whatever the hell. She'd be a better hire than Bill.
Could be. And then... just the gift of gifts, okay? Everything lined up perfectly.
Sandra Bullock,
in my humble opinion, for arguably the greatest coach in the history of football at any stinking level.
Not true. Like, I hate to say it, not true. Let me ask you this. Is Nick Saban the best football coach at any level? No, he went to the NFL. He failed miserably and lied to everyone there too. No, I'm not leaving anytime soon. Next thing you know, he's going to Alabama. There aren't any coaches that are the best coaches at any level. That is a crazy thing to say. You cannot separate, like, you're basically looking at this as if coaching is just developing or preparing a team to play week in and week out. That might today, honestly, for a head coach, be 20% of what his job is. The other 80 are recruiting, fundraising, portal, dealing with alumni, or not dealing with alumni, but dealing with donors, dealing with your administration, hiring your staff, managing your staff, which is more difficult than it's ever been. I mean, you guys tell me what you think. I would be willing to bet of the total time spent by a head coach, 20% of it goes into just straight preparing a team to play every week. That's worlds different than the NFL. It's worlds different.
The 6-time Super Bowl winning champion head coach Bill Belichick somehow just falls in our stinking lap, dude.
Why? This is important. This is why context matters. Now, a lot of times when people say, oh, but the context, that's because they don't really want to address the issues with their own hypothesis. Like if you said, I don't know, beating children, you said beating children was fine. And then the guy will say, well, you're taking me out of context. Well, in what context is that right? Here, the context does matter, though. The context here is no one else wanted him. No one else wanted him. That's why he came to North Carolina. If a single NFL team would have been willing to hire Bill Belichick, he would not be at North Carolina. This is like that bargain bin at Dollar General and some, toy that has the plastic ripped off of it at the bottom. You're like, how lucky am I? This thing just fell in my lap. That's what it is. Now, again, he might go on to be great, but it would be contrary to every bit of evidence we have, right? Kind of like, let's say Temple rehired Jeff Collins as their head coach and he was successful. That would be contrary to all the evidence you have. In other words, you wouldn't have any evidence to support he would work anywhere.
Dude. And not only does Bill Belichick genuinely want to coach at the University of North Carolina, an ACC team.
I don't know how genuine it is. Again, you're just asserting that. I don't know that he genuinely I think it's out of necessity. North Carolina was the only ones that were willing to hire him. That dude got to quit saying Bill is the best coach ever at all levels. I think he said that Friday too. Well, look, let me just say, I get it. I mean, you're going to defend your head coach. Luckily, I wasn't on YouTube when Jeff Collins, I started right after he was fired. But I will say, if Georgia Tech hired Bill Belichick, I would be saying the same things, though. I really would. We were going to go hire that guy from Tulane, Willie Fritz. Both C-Dog and I came out and said, no, he's too old. College football's, we need a guy that we can build a team with.
Coach Belichick was able to convince the powers that be.
No, this is not a replay from College Football Weekly. This is a video he put out today.
To, for all intents and purposes, just completely open up the financial coffers so that we could attract talent. Now,
allegedly, again, I don't know. This is my problem. Even with Texas saying they have a $30 to $40 million NIL offering, that I'm more prone to believing just because Texas, they're one of the top 3 brands in all of college football, probably, certainly top 5, and they have a ton of money. North Carolina's never shown that they were going to throw a ton of money at college football. So, I mean, look, Georgia Tech could come out tomorrow and say, hey, we have a $80 million NIL offering. What evidence can you give me or provide that's going to say that that's true?
Now, this has not played out exactly how I anticipated that it would play out, to be completely honest with you, okay? I'm talking about strictly from a recruiting standpoint. That's for another video in and of itself, but just to really kind of give you what I'm talking about is we haven't gotten the 4- and 5-star guys, okay? As a whole, like a lot of us maybe anticipated, but what he does, what he's known for, is recruiting guys that are under the radar, okay?
Also, I hate to say it, incorrect. If you want to say he's known for drafting guys that are under the radar, maybe, yeah, probably. You can convince me of that. Hard to win 6 Super Bowls without doing that. He's never recruited a single player in his life until North Carolina. Not a single one. In the draft, if you're the worst team, you pick first. You pick first. In college football, if you're the worst team, you don't get a 5-star prospect. You're probably going to recruit like garbage because you're the worst team.
Okay, and I'm comparing this unto the draft, right? Tom Brady was selected, I think, in the 6th round. Is probably the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. Julian Edelman was a stinking wide receiver or a quarterback.
Right, and did he start Tom Brady because he recognized his talent? Does anyone know this? Did they start him in New England because they realized this might be one of the greatest football players of all time? No! Drew Bledsoe got hurt, and then Tom Brady started. So, I don't think you can say, unless you're telling me, oh, we were starting Drew Bledsoe and developing Brady, and we really knew that he was going to be some kind of player. Well, if he thought he was going to be that player, he probably would have started him. He did move Brady up in the depth chart. Okay, that is fair. That is fair.
Kent State, who he basically transitioned into a slot receiver who was extremely effective in New England. The guy finds stinking talent. That's what he does, man. And Carolina is paying him $10 million, right, annually to come and coach at the university, okay? And that's all fine and dandy.
He did draft Shaq Mason. He did.
That's all fine and dandy. I'm super excited about where everything's going, and I have the utmost faith in Bill Belichick being able to do what needs to be done for this program to actually stink and take off until he proves me wrong. Now, the point of the video is this, man.
So the point he's making is like, oh, he's going to find all these diamonds in the rough, 3 stars that really should be 5 stars. You're not building a playoff caliber team doing that. There's one exception to that, and that is TCU. They built a team that went to the national title game with a bunch of 3 stars and a handful of 4 stars, not many. What are they doing now? What's TCU doing now? And oh, by the way, North Carolina opens up with TCU, don't they? That's right. Where's that game played? Anyone know where the TCU North Carolina game? Let me check before I make a fool of myself, but I'm pretty sure it's being played somewhere very special. Let's see, TCU, UNC. That's right, it's in Ireland. They're opening up with TCU, a team that proves just trying to find 3-star diamonds in the rough is at best going to get you a flash fire from one season. And who was the other team that told your boy WreckTalk all this off the field stuff doesn't affect on the field stuff? Can anyone guess who was the last team that said, hey, a lot of off the field nonsense, and we're going to be fine once we start playing football? It was FSU. What happened to FSU last year? They went 2-10. And now, thank God, they finally have the decency to keep their mouths shut for the most part because they got embarrassed. And this is a train wreck I see happening. And I do legitimately feel bad for Russ. I don't think it's going to end well.
I don't expect anything other than, what is there, 133 FBS teams now?
Is there 135 now? He might be right.
Something of that nature. I don't expect anybody outside of Chapel Hill, anybody that doesn't wear Carolina blue, to be excited about this. I don't expect anybody outside of Carolina, Chapel Hill, to be pulling for this to be successful. Actually, what I think is that a lot of people are terrified that this could actually be something, of a...
Okay. If someone walked up to me today and said, hey, if you give me 10 grand, I'll flip someone on your schedule and replace them with UNC. In other words, for 10 grand, I'll guarantee you play UNC this year. I would do it and tell them I'd pay 10 times that for it. I wish we played North Carolina this year. There's not another team in the country I want to play more this year than UNC. But they dodge us. Why? Because they're 0-4 in the last 4 years against Georgia Tech. The other team that's got to wipe the taste of Georgia Tech's wiener out of their mouths is Miami, and they dodge us as well. So I can't speak for everyone else. I'm certainly not terrified of UNC. And I don't know, is he kind of gatekeeping, like, okay, if you're not a North Carolina, to see this, you have to be a North Carolina fan? That's kind of like saying, hey, to really say that Scientology is wacky and doesn't work, you've got to yourself become one, you know?
A success story, if you will, in 2 or 3 years. And that is why there has been all of these things that are pertaining to everything except being just
I don't know what's happening.
in the news. And you can say some of that is self-inflicted all you want.
All of it is self-inflicted. 100% of it is self-inflicted. If I started dating a girl that was 380 pounds and she was sitting in the background right here, let's be real, if she's 380, she's probably going to take up most of the background. I can't then come on here and say, oh, you guys are inserting her into the situation. How dare you? Of course people are going to make fun of me for that. Of course they are, and they should, because that's... Anyways, she inserts herself in the situation. Him dating a girl that's 50 years younger than her is weird. It's flat out weird. If Brent Key was dating someone, I mean, you can't even keep the same, distance and age. But if he was dating someone that was 19, I'd be like, this is weird. Why are you doing that? I don't know if this is going to work.
Why is he on Instagram doing these photos? Why is his girlfriend always with him when he's doing book reviews and, sitting down with the media and everything, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever Bill Belichick decides to do in his personal life, I personally don't give two stinking rips what he does, as long as on Saturdays he is focused and he is calling the stinking shots and he's getting us stinking W's. That's all I care about.
I get that. Then Bill needs to leave his personal life personal. Like, he's the one trotting her around. He left his long-term partner for her as well. Just, I can't see your hands, but show of hands. How many of you have either left a good lady for a crazy one or had a friend that you tried to warn, like, hey, you got a good thing going here, and then they leave her for some wackadoodle? How many of you have experienced that? Because it's kind of like, what would it be like? I don't know, but there's just nothing you can do for the guy. Once you get your head turned around in that arena, there's no coming back until you burn it all to the ground, usually. Or such was my experience. Appreciate the $2. From Nerdstop says, remember when Urban was knuckle deep in that girl? I do, and I'm pretty sure so does she. Wasn't that when he didn't fly back with the team and he stayed because they played the Browns, so he stayed in Cleveland? My brother cannot stop dicking crazy. Yeah. Bill doesn't wear Carolina blue. Yeah, because Bill doesn't care about North Carolina.
I'm not surprised in any way, shape, or form that everybody on the outside, ESPN, Fox Sports, all the other fan bases of teams, the colleges, the coaches that are using this against him, that doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is this. By
the way, why is it everybody? This is kind of like flat earthers are like, everyone's against us. What's that about? What are they covering up? Well, everyone's against you because you're wrong. And verifiably so.
Surprises me that stinking Tar Heels are out here calling for the man to be stinking fired. Like, people are legitimately, I'm talking about Carolina football fans. Okay? And I'm going to try not to get too pissed off about this.
So, Nerdstop, I will say, I do think he's legitimately mad here. This has happened to me as well, where I'll see something, sometimes it's even a comment, which is not a great thing to do, to make a video in response to a comment, but I will make a video out of anger like this, and I respect Russ for doing it. Even though I don't agree with any of this, good on Russ for coming in here and giving him the right there, Fred.
Carolina football fans, okay, in a time of where we have just been mediocre at best, underachieving at best, and Carolina fans, okay, are on these stinking social media accounts and everything, and they already want the man gone. And I think that that is the dumbest thing that I have ever stinking seen. And I'm going to tell you this right now, like seriously, guys, okay? And like I said, this is going to be a polarizing video, and it is what it is, man.
Tell 'em.
If you can't take the heat, get out the stinking kitchen. You are an absolute moron.
Is it A or an? I'm not sure. Isn't UNC's season ticket sold out? Yeah, because they want to see what Jordan Hudson's going to do. Hell, I might buy North Carolina season tickets just to see the disaster. Wasn't Jerry Springer sold out every episode they filmed of that? They probably were. I wasn't even aware that there were North Carolina fans calling for Bill's head this early. Here's the thing. You know what it would cost to fire Bill Belichick right now? $50 million. $50 million to fire Bill Belichick right now. Unless you fire him for cause, which I did leave him a comment saying this, like, look, at this point, you got to see it out, at least for a season. Oh, by the way, what I didn't mention, you know what Bill could leave him for right now? Keep in mind, fire him, you got to pay him $50 million. He can fire North Carolina for $1 million. Sounds like he really wants to be there, though.
Okay, there is no, bro, take your head out of your fourth point of contact and listen to yourself.
Dude, it's okay to say ass. It feels good. It feels good. Like, listen here. Jeff Collins was ass. He was ass.
You are allowing this whole girlfriend thing to completely get shoes on what is.
He got so mad he broke his whole setup. And then when he was like doing some editing stuff, he probably saw that and said, I don't feel like getting that mad again. I know I've done that.
It's actually important here. Football. 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 Hey, wake up. Wake up. Football is what's important. I don't care what he does with his girlfriend. I don't care that there's a 50-year age gap. I don't care that she's in the book interview with him and she's interrupting when they ask them questions about their relationship. Listen to me.
Come on, man. You should, though. You should care that North Carolina, for the first time in however long, is the most talked about program right now. And it's because of how embarrassing your head coach is. I would care about that. I don't care. Look, I wouldn't care about the 50. Like, I would care from a moral standpoint of like, that's weird. As far as winning games, I wouldn't care. But you can't necessarily separate the two. Look at Urban Meyer's a great example. He won in every college place he was at. Left them, in scandalous situations. Then when he got to the NFL, those very things were his undoing. Like assaulting a kicker, like grinding up to a girl probably 30 years younger than him while his team flies back. I'm not saying, well, hell, let's take Jeff Collins. Like, look, you're saying, he does all these quirky, weird things in $3 bills. All I care about is football. Yes, but that was indicative of who he was as a coach. So you're saying, oh, well, Bill Belichick, all the Super Bowls, yada, yada, yada. He's not that same guy anymore with this girl. That's just a fact.
I don't care, and neither should you. And this is the reason why I'm saying that I want to warn Tar Heel Nation.
Warn him.
He does have a clause in his contract that says he can get out of here, okay? And the university
for $1 million.
Only has to stink and pay him like $1 million as a termination fee.
There you go. I'm not making it up.
You better be stinking careful what you stinking ask for, dude.
By the way, I think that would be the best scenario, honestly. If they were able to just troll him to the point he left, they'd be garbage for this season. They'd have to promote an interim. But I think that might be in your better long-term interest.
You better be stinking careful what you ask for. I cannot believe that there are so many Tar Heels that are out here pushing this stupid narrative before the man has even coached a college football game. And Bill Belichick, coach, if you can hear me, this Tar Heel is stinking behind you, bro. Okay?
Bill, if you can hear me, gross.
I want you to be successful. I believe you can be successful. And I have the uttermost faith in your ability to coach football on Saturdays. I don't give two rips what you do on your own stinking time. Well, Jordan Hudson is, she's hurting the brand. Stop it.
I mean, you can't hurt North Carolina's football brand a whole lot more than it's already been hurt. So he could be true there. No, she's certainly hurting their brand, though. They've gone from the Michael Jordan brand to the Jordan Hudson brand. Shout out to Rock and Rant for that. She's hurting your brand. If the only thing people are talking about in college football is your head coach's girlfriend and it's not good, definitionally she's hurting your brand. Come on, man.
I don't care about what all these other people think. At the end of the day, whatever. Okay, you say, hey, Russ, are you trying to say that, if you could just snap your fingers and she would be quiet and get out of the spotlight, you wouldn't do that? Of course I would. But stop making it more than what it is, guys. Especially you Tar Heels.
Yeah.
Especially you Tar Heels, man. I don't expect anything else from those stinking clowns in Raleigh or Manny Diaz and the Dukies up in Durham or any other stinking, high-profile program that doesn't want this to work because it could possibly, step on their toes. I don't expect them to think anything different. But stop letting these outside influences get you all hot and bothered, dude, to where you want the greatest coach of all time that none of us thought was even a plausibility.
Right, until no one wanted him. Then he became a plausibility.
And you want him stinking gone before he even has a chance. Before he even has a chance to stinking win some football games at a high level.
Buddy, you listened to Jeff too much, didn't you? Throughout the high level. Are y'all in the chat talking about what Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson are like what sex between them is like? If you weren't, I can tell you. I can tell you what it's like. It's just him moving minimally. Oh yeah. We're on to an orgasm. It's over. That's what sex with them is like, if you didn't know.
It's so ridiculous, man. I mean, listen, there are some shallow people in the world, and unfortunately, Americans as a whole, are
shallow people? Come on, man. The dude left a long-term girlfriend or whatever wife to be with a 24-year-old for money. There's nothing more shallow than that. And I love you, Russ, but you want to finger wag other people for doing it? Come on, man. The irony, it's drowning you. The irony.
Are extremely shallow. There's a reason why, and I'm not going to get all political on this, but there's a reason why, some of you need to look in the mirror and get a little bit more, less shallow, dude.
All right, hold on a second. I'm going to go look in the mirror real quick. Still shallow. That didn't work. Can I just tell you guys something? Everyone's shallow. Everyone is shallow. Let me demonstrate. I'm going to set you up on a date for tonight. What's your first question to me going to be? What does she look like? Of course, we're all shallow to some degree. Now, some more than others, but yes, we're all somewhat shallow. Bill Belichick more than others. All right, let me flip it on the other end. Generally, a lady's going to be concerned with how much you make. They're not going to want to be with some guy that has no job, even if he's the greatest guy of all time. I think we can all be a little shallow sometime.
Less shallow. You like Ronald Reagan, you like Barack Obama because they're great orators. You like Mac Brown because he's a great orator.
I'll have to go look through his comment section. I guarantee you he caught shit from both ends for that comment, which is dumb.
You hate Joe Biden and you hate Donald Trump because they're not great orators. You don't care what work.
He didn't mention me in that, and that pisses me off a bit. Is there a greater orator than WreckTalk? I don't think so, baby.
Is being done behind the scenes to fix the culture, to fix the stinking program, to get guys that want to be here and work hard. You don't care about that. All you care about is surface level issues. You care about these stinking clowns out here making this a big deal. I mean, just look, just do a Google search on Bill Belichick right now. It's all related to Jordan Hudson. And you consume that and you say, we got to get this guy out of here.
Let me also demonstrate. What's the driving force behind what job? Let's say you had 3 offers. What's the driving force behind what offer you take? Money. Money is the driving force there. When you pick someone to date, just call it what it is. The driving force is going to be what they look like. You're not going to date someone that looks like Carson Beck if you're a lady, just based on his appearance. Now, this is the trick, and Bill is demonstrating this. If you are reptilian looking, like Carson Beck, money is the solution to those problems. Winning cures all problems in college football, and money cures all problems if you're some kind of uggo.
It's bad for the brand. It's bad for whatever. Dude, who's going to replace him? Please. Please. Who's going to win us some stinking football games? Please. I need to know who is going to stinking get the job done. I'm not going to lie, dude. I'm completely befuddled at how quickly a fan base that has just been marred with mediocrity in the football program could have such a crazy situation come to actual fruition, and then you're ready to get rid of them. I mean, before this thing even gets on its stinking feet, man. And you better be careful what you wish for, because, you know, this guy doesn't owe you anything.
Come on, man. Bill Belichick doesn't owe you anything. Your job doesn't owe you anything. You're lucky you get paid. Now, some companies do legitimately view it that way, and they're dog shit companies. But Bill Belichick owes them $10 million worth of production. What are you talking about, man? He's one of the top paid head coaches in the country. I'll tell you what he owes you: a playoff berth inside of 3 years, a top 15 class 2 of those years. He owes you at a minimum an ACC title appearance. Now, am I just making that up? No, these are all the things coaches get fired for. This is why if Hugh Freeze doesn't get his act together this year, he's going to be fired. What, you think Hugh Freeze is going to go to the Auburn fan base and say, I don't owe you anything right now? And, oh, perfect too, because he's a guy that has off the field sexual issues. Dude was at Liberty, gets accused, people throw accusations at him. That tends to follow him wherever he goes. You know what Hugh Freeze does? Hits up their DMs. I mean, it matters. Here's the thing. This is where I'm going to hold Russ's foot to the fire. If North Carolina does fire Bill Belichick at some point for cause and uses Jordan Hudson, shy of something crazy coming out that is not known in this video, you need to admonish the University of North Carolina for being shallow. That's only fair. You can't say your fans are being shallow for focusing on Jordan Hudson and wanting Bill Belichick fired, and then be happy if they end up firing Bill Belichick after he sucks as a coach for cause because of Jordan Hudson. Can't have it both ways.
Owe us anything. He doesn't owe us anything.
That's crazy, man. Come on.
And you could very well push him out where he says, you know what, man? This ain't even stinking worth it. This is an ungrateful fan base.
You think Jordan Hudson's going to let him leave North Carolina, Russ? She's not. Jordan Hudson loves this, by the way. She loves this. She's a pick-me girl. She wants to be out there and talked about. Jordan Hudson's not leaving Bill Belichick or letting Bill Belichick leave North Carolina. And why would Bill Belichick leave North Carolina? To go sit on his ass and do some more weird skipper mermaid pictures on the beach of Curacao somewhere? I don't know.
They can't even stinking allow me to have my own personal life. They can't even stinking have my back. Here I am trying.
What do you mean allow them to have your own personal life, man? She's everywhere. She was at your spring game in some bedazzled dress walking around talking to Bill during the practice like she owned the place. Why can't Bill let his personal life be personal? That is the better question.
Trying to change for this program, and I got, my own stinking guys trying to get me out of here. Ungrateful, unfaithful. Goodness gracious, man. Goodness stinking gracious. Some of you might be thinking that I'm over the top here. No, I think this whole situation is stinking over the top. And once again, I don't expect anything different from anybody else outside of Chapel Hill. But the dude hasn't even coached a football game yet. And for people to legitimately be calling for him to step down, to be fired, dude, what in the stinking world? I mean, like sometimes, man, I ask myself, how serious is the Carolina fan base?
So a few things. Again, I love Russ. Have I said that enough? But he's acting like Bill's coaching pro bono or something. Bill, this isn't a charity Bill's doing. In fact, it's way worse than that because no one wanted Bill. Then he stuck his dick down your throats with his contract, made you hire his son. I think both of his sons are on contract. Made you pay top tier proven college football coach money. And you capitulated to all his demands. I don't know that it's in his contract, but he's going to say, hey, you need to make my son head coach after I'm gone. Like, it's the opposite of you should be grateful. It's, I expect this guy to win me 10 games a year and make the playoffs. And that's fair. That's fair.
Honestly, how serious are you guys about winning?
Not very for hiring Bill Belichick.
Or are you just completely, you're just completely okay with mediocrity and everything that we do?
Yes, that's why you hired Bill.
Everything that
they hired Bill, let's just be honest, more for conference realignment purposes than they did winning purposes. They saw what happened with the Dion effect at Colorado. I'm not the first person to bring this up either. And they said, hey, we need to get our brand out there. And what better way to do that than with Bill Belichick? And maybe he can assimilate to the college football game and we win some games on top. but that's a consolation to the hire. Now, is that worth $10 million? Not to me, but I think that's the reality of the situation.
We do. And I'm not saying that there's not a time to give a stinking coach some stinking pushback. You guys know, since this channel has started, I have given Mac Brown a ton of pushback. And I was one of the ones saying it was time to stinking move on when a lot of people were saying, hey, one more year. We got to give him another opportunity, one more chance. No, 6 years is enough.
Mac Brown's a better college football coach. That's not even questionable, by the way. Today. Maybe Bill proves that wrong later. Mac Brown's a Hall of Fame coach. Mac Brown is a Hall of Fame football coach with a national title ring. If he couldn't fix North Carolina, my question is, what makes you think Bill Belichick's going to be able to do it?
And I'm getting to that point with Hubert Davis.
I don't know who that is.
But this guy hasn't even coached yet, and he's the greatest coach of all time.
Oh, is that their basketball coach?
And some of you stinking clowns want him gone. Goodness gracious, man, I need you to think, further than 2 steps in front of you for just a second. For just a second, Tar Heel Nation. We have got to be better, man. We have got to be better. We have to understand the opportunity that has been placed at our stinking feet, man. And you need to latch on and grab up. You need to grab onto that thing.
You need to grab onto that thing, baby. That's what Bill did. He grabbed onto that thing, and that thing grabbed back. It grabbed things that weren't Bill. Russ just needs to do what Rick did in The Walking Dead. I want to say it was around season 3, where he said, from now on, we do things my way, okay? This ain't a democracy anymore. Carl! Carl, where's Judith? Did Negan just bash in 2 guys' heads for no good reason?
This is arguably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Carolina football to mean something. Don't stinking push this guy away, dude. Don't you stinking push this. Don't you take that from me, Tar Heel Nation. I've been going hard at this thing, dude, for over 30 years. I want this. I need this. I'm not telling you that it's going to happen. I'm not going to tell you he's going to be able to get the job done. But I'm telling you, if there's a man that can stink and do it, it's this man.
He's like, he should just go like the way Trump is in interviews. Everyone who doesn't agree with me, you're a bunch of losers. I walked into North Carolina. I said, wow, what a great school. Not a better school than this. Just go that route, man. I think when you go this hard in the paint, that's the only thing you can do. That's the only thing you can do. Did you see what we do to Miami?
That's what you need to understand. And quite frankly, like I said, man, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm entitled to mine. I'm just tired of seeing my own brothers and sisters in Carolina Blue stinking just completely berate this guy on the internet, and he's never even coached a football game, and he doesn't even stinking have to be here. Man, y'all need to stink in.
It does sound like that. It does sound like that. You know, I don't even have to be here. I'm doing you a favor by being here.
And like I said, you need to have a little bit of foresight, dude. You need to stinking, use your stinking brain. Have a little bit of common sense. Now, like I said, if you don't like this man, tough apples, dude. I felt like this is one of those ones that I needed to get out there because, quite frankly, I'm just sick of people trying to squander this opportunity that this university has right now. And I do believe that he's doing fantastic things behind the scene.
What? So you said that he comes in, he's an NFL guy. He's going to be this great recruiter. Not recruiting well, but that's okay because we're going to have a bunch of 3 stars step up that really want it more, and it's gonna be the difference. Come on, man. I've been here before. I'll tell you, and this is a true story. We'll end it here. This is a true story. When I had this level of like coke, one of the first girls I dated out of high school. I'm not saying she's like Jordan Hudson because she was actually older than me, but you see the signs, right? Stays out late. She's real cagey about her phone. Always keeps the phone out of arm's length from me. And I ended up looking in that phone. I didn't like what I saw. Sending pictures to guys, right? And even when the evidence hit, it's not true. No, there's a good reason for this. That's what North Carolina's going through with Bill Belichick right now. Tell us where she hurt you. Well, I'll tell you what that did for me. It made me jaded, and I don't trust anyone in this world. And here's the thing. If you don't trust anyone, you can't get hurt. That's the message for tonight, guys. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for coming out. Thank you for everyone who super chatted, everyone who's been here. Let me roll up, make sure I didn't miss any more super chats. I don't think I did. By the way, you should go subscribe to Russ, though. Russ is an entertaining guy. He knows North Carolina football. He was on the College Football Weekly panel, did a fantastic job. He's Tar Heel Huddle on YouTube. And we'll see how this unfolds. You guys have a good night.